All right, so today we're diving into something that's always with us, always there in our back pocket.
Yeah, like digitally, always there.
Right, like we rely on it, we maybe take it for granted, but today we're really going to take a deep dive into it.
Yeah.
Google Maps.
It's funny, you say that we all use it,
Hmm.
but like you don't think about it,
Right.
until you need it.
It's like, yeah, exactly, it just works.
It just works.
Yeah, and we're going to figure out how it works today.
Right.
Yeah.
How it works, but then also like how it came to be,
Yes.
what it's all about. I mean, I think it's fascinating.
Okay, so to kick us off, we've got a few articles here, and one thing that I found really interesting is that this wasn't a Google idea at first.
Yeah,
Google Maps did not start at Google.
exactly. And this is something that Google has a really good track record of, though,
Yeah.
of like seeing a good idea and being like, that's a good idea. We'll take that.
We'll take it.
We'll take it. And, with Google Maps, it really started as this desktop program in Australia.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Created by a company called Where2 Technologies.
Okay.
And Google saw what they were doing and was like, we need that. And they bought them out in 2004.
So smart. It's like they're playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, you know?
Yeah. They're playing like 4D chess or something.
Right. They see the future and they're like, we need that piece for our game.
Exactly. And it wasn't just Where2 Technologies. They actually went on a bit of a shopping spree.
Mm-hmm.
They scooped up a bunch of different companies that all had key ingredients for what Google Maps would become.
Oh, like what? Give me some examples.
Okay, well, there was Keyhole, for instance.
Gas coal?
Yeah, they were like the pioneers of 3D Earth imaging software.
Oh, wow.
Think back to those early days of Google Earth, that mind-blowing experience of spinning the globe with your mouse.
Yeah.
That was Keyhole's technology,
Yeah.
absorbed into the Googleverse.
Wow, I never put that together. Okay, so they had the satellite view down,
Mm-hmm.
but what about all the other stuff? The traffic data, the street level views, like how'd they get all that?
So for the traffic data, that's where ZipDash comes in.
ZipDash.
They were doing some really innovative stuff with real-time traffic info, helping drivers find the quickest routes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Google recognized the value of that, brought them into the fold, and that became the foundation for what we now know as Google Traffic.
Okay, so traffic, check.
Check.
Satellite view, check. But what about those 360-degree street views?
Well, that was a bit more straightforward.
Okay.
They hit the road, sent out a fleet of cars equipped with those panoramic cameras to capture the world, street by street.
It's kind of wild when you think about it. Like, they literally photographed the entire world.
I know, right?
Well, maybe not the entire world, but a huge chunk of it. And it's constantly being updated, too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's a massive undertaking, keeping those maps accurate and up to date.
Yeah, I mean, the world is constantly changing. Construction, new roads, businesses closing. Like, how do they keep up with all of that?
It's a combination of things.
Okay.
They have their own data sources, licensing agreements with other map providers, and believe it or not, they actually rely on us, the users, to help fill in the gaps.
Wait, really? I can be a Google Maps contributor.
You absolutely can. How
Let's do
does that
this.
work? Well, you might have heard of Google Local Guides.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a gamified system where you earn points and badges for adding reviews, photos, updating business hours, that kind of thing.
Huh. So, like, the more you contribute, the more points you get. And then,
You level up.
okay, I'm listening. I like where this is going. Like,
Right.
what do you get when you level up, though? Bragging rights.
Well, yeah, there are definitely bragging rights.
Okay. I like it.
But also you get early access to some Google features, special perks, and some other goodies they sprinkle in.
Huh. Not bad.
It's a pretty clever way to tap into the wisdom of the crowds, right?
It's true. So it's like this whole ecosystem, this whole community effort to keep the digital world accurate and up to date.
Exactly.
But all this data, all these photos, all this information, it kind of makes you wonder, though, about the privacy implications of it all, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's a whole other layer of this Google Maps onion we've got to peel back.
Right. All those street view cars driving around, capturing images of our homes, our lives.
Yeah.
It's bound to spark some debate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where things get really interesting.
All right, listeners, buckle up. Because next up, we're diving headfirst into the Google Maps controversies.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it,
It's kind of creepy, right?
it is a little bit, especially those early days of Street View.
Oh, tell me about it.
I mean, people were finding all sorts of crazy stuff on there.
Remember that guy who accidentally got caught walking out of, like, an adult store?
Oh, yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
Not exactly the kind of digital footprint you want to leave behind.
Right.
Like, honey, I can explain.
Exactly, exactly. But it wasn't just funny stuff. It raised some real privacy concerns.
Yeah, like what about the people who didn't want their homes photographed or their license plates recorded?
Exactly, and that sparked a whole global conversation about, like, the limits of data collection and, our right to privacy in this digital age.
So how did Google respond to all of that? Did they just shut down Street View and call it a day?
No, they realized they had to address these concerns.
Good.
They made some changes, they started automatically blurring faces and license plates in the images. And they also introduced a tool that lets you request for images of your home or your car to be removed.
Okay, so they're trying to be more sensitive to privacy, which is good, but it's kind of like playing catch up,
Yeah.
The technology is always one step ahead.
Always.
And it's not just Street View, right?
Right.
It's all the other data that Google Maps collects on us, too.
Right, like our location history, our search queries, the places we visit.
Yeah, are we okay with all that being tracked?
It paints a pretty detailed picture of our lives, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that data is valuable not just to Google, but to advertisers, marketers,
Yeah, for sure. They want to know where we're going, what we're doing, what we're buying.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about targeted advertising these days, right?
Right. It's like they're reading our minds. Sometimes it feels like it.
Yeah, so it raises some big questions about, like, how all that data is being used and who has access to it.
Exactly. And how much control we actually have over our own digital footprint. It's a bit of a rabbit hole when you start thinking about it too much.
Yeah, but let's maybe shift gears for a moment and talk about a different kind of controversy.
Yeah.
One that highlights the potential for, well, mischief.
Mischief, huh? You mean like people messing with Google Maps?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Well, there was this one artist, I think it was back in 2017, who basically tricked Google Maps into thinking there was a massive traffic jam in Berlin.
Wait, what? How did he do that?
Okay, so he basically got his hands on like 99 smartphones, put them all in a little handcart, like a little red wagon.
Okay.
Just walk slowly down the street. Google Maps interprets that slow-moving mobile data as traffic congestion.
Oh.
So suddenly, on Google Maps, this street that was totally empty in real life was showing up as this bright red traffic jam.
Oh, that's hilarious. Talk about creative chaos, but also kind of brilliant.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes to show you how these systems, these algorithms, they can be manipulated.
That's a little unnerving, actually.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, like, what other kinds of shenanigans people are getting up to.
Right. Like, what if someone wanted to cause some real chaos,
Exactly. It's a good reminder to not blindly trust everything you see on a screen.
Right.
Especially when it's information that's generated by these complex algorithms.
Right, right. Okay, so we've talked about privacy, we've talked about mischief. What other controversial aspects of Google Maps are there?
Well, I think it's important to also talk about some of the, let's say, unintended consequences of Google Maps.
Unintended consequences, like
Really?
what?
Like the impact on local businesses, for example. We've all had that experience where we blindly follow Google Maps directions, right?
Yeah.
And it takes us to like the most random, out-of-the-way place.
Totally. Sometimes I'm like, Google, are you sure about this?
And we might not have even discovered that place otherwise. So on the one hand, that's great for those businesses.
Yeah, it's like free advertising in a way.
Right. But it can also hurt the businesses that maybe relied on foot traffic or, being in a prime location.
Right. The ones that Google Maps might overlook or, might not even know exist because they haven't been fully mapped yet.
Exactly.
Interesting. It's like this whole digital divide playing out in the real world.
Right. And then there are the concerns about how Google Maps can contribute to, like, over-tourism.
Oh, right. Everyone flocks to those Instagram-worthy spots.
Exactly. And that can put a strain on local communities, the environment, all of that.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
Like, we use this tool every day, and we rarely stop to consider all the ripple effects it has.
Right. And that's why I think these deep dives are so important, because they force us to confront these bigger questions.
For sure.
Okay. But I'm ready for a slightly lighter topic now, if you are.
Okay, yeah, me too, actually. What did you have in mind?
How about we talk about the cultural impact of Google Maps?
Okay, I like it. It's not all doom and gloom, right?
Right. It's fascinating how a tool that's meant for navigation has actually seeped into our culture in all these unexpected ways.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Well, for example, art. People have created some really amazing art using Google Maps.
Really?
Yeah, like there was this one artist who used Google Street View to create this incredible photographic series capturing these like fleeting moments of beauty in everyday life.
Wow, I'm picturing like kids playing in the street or like a dog chasing a ball.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the whole world of Google Maps literature.
Google Maps literature. Okay, you're gonna have to explain that one.
Yeah, so there's actually a genre of writing called geofiction, where the story unfolds through a series of Google Maps screenshots.
Oh,
It's true. It's like the map itself becomes a character in the narrative.
that's so cool. I had no idea.
Yeah.
See, I love this stuff. It's like you think you know everything about something and then bam, Google Maps literature. Okay, what else?
Well, music's been influenced by Google Maps too.
Okay.
You've got bands creating music videos using footage from Google Street View.
No way.
Yeah, it's a trip.
I gotta see that.
It's very surreal, very cool.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. I never thought of Google Maps as like this muse for artistic expression.
It's true. It just goes to show you technology can be a source of inspiration in the most unexpected ways. But speaking of unexpected,
Mhm.
we can't forget about Google Maps' unique journey in China.
Oh, yeah. Google in China, that's a whole other story. From what I understand, Google Maps had to play by a different set of rules over there, right?
Yeah, that's putting it mildly. We're talking about navigating a whole different digital landscape in China.
Okay, so break it down for me. What's the deal with Google Maps in China?
Well, you see, China has very strict regulations when it comes to mapping and geographic data. They've got their own set of laws, their own censorship policies, and even their own coordinate system.
But their own coordinate system, what does that even mean?
It means that locations displayed on Google Maps in China are actually slightly off from their real-world locations. It's called the China GPS shift. And it can be a real headache for tourists or anyone who's relying on accurate location data.
So Google Maps in China is like its own separate reality?
Kind of. And that's just one example of the challenges that Google Maps faces in a world where data is becoming increasingly regulated and controlled.
Right. So it's not just about getting from point A to point B anymore.
Right. It's about navigating this complex web of geopolitics, data privacy, and the ever-evolving digital landscape.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is.
But it's important stuff. You know, it's funny, we've been talking about all these complex global issues, but at the end of the day, most people use Google Maps for one simple reason: to get from point A to point B.
It's true. It's like we can talk about the philosophy of maps all day long.
Right.
But when you really need it, you just want to know how to get to the grocery store.
Exactly. Sometimes I even use it to find, like, the closest mailbox.
Oh, totally. Or like a gas station when you're running low.
Yes. All the time. Okay, but before we completely wrap up this Google Maps odyssey, I have one more burning question for you.
Okay, hit me.
What happens when Google Maps gets it wrong?
Oh, you mean like the misdirection incidents?
Yes, I'm talking about those stories we've all heard, where people end up driving into lakes or getting stranded in the middle of nowhere because they blindly followed their GPS.
Yeah, those stories are scary.
They're like digital urban legends, but they're real.
Right. I mean, it's a good reminder that technology, as amazing as it is not perfect.
For sure.
And it's definitely not a substitute for common sense.
Exactly. You got to use your judgment out there, people. Don't just blindly follow that little blue arrow into oblivion.
Exactly. Double check those directions, especially if you're in an unfamiliar area.
A little skepticism never hurts. But those misdirection incidents, they do raise some serious questions, though, right?
Absolutely. Like, who's responsible when something goes wrong?
Right.
And how do we prevent these things from happening in the future?
Exactly.
It's a tough one because on the one hand, Google is constantly updating its maps using all this data like we were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But they also rely on users to report errors, you know?
Oh, that's right. Like if a road is closed or a business is moved.
Exactly. So it's a kind of a two-way street.
It's like a community effort in a way.
Right. Google provides the platform, but we, the users, have a responsibility to help keep it accurate and up to date.
It's amazing how something as seemingly simple as a mapping app can connect us in these unexpected ways.
It really is. It's like this invisible thread that ties us all together. But speaking of connections, before we go, I'm curious, do you have a favorite Google Maps feature?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think I have to go with Street View.
Oh, classic.
I know, it's a little voyeuristic, but I love being able to visit different places around the world, you know, just virtually explore.
Right. It's like a window into other people's lives, those little snapshots of everyday moments.
Exactly. What about you?
I think I'm partial to the time-lapse feature.
Time lapse.
Yeah, it lets you see how places have changed over time, like going back decades.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You can watch cities grow, forests shrink. It's pretty wild.
It's like holding up a mirror to humanity, you know?
It is. You can literally see our impact on the planet.
It's a little sobering, but also fascinating. Okay, well, this has been an incredible journey.
I know, right? Who knew Google Maps could be so deep?
Seriously. We've covered everything from the origins of Google Maps to its impact on society, from privacy concerns to artistic inspiration. It's more than just a map, it's a reflection of who we are.
Absolutely. And it makes you think about the future, too.
Right.
Like, what will Google Maps look like in 10 years, 20 years? What new challenges and possibilities will emerge?
I can't even imagine. But I'm excited to find out. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a pleasure exploring with you.
The pleasure was all mine.
And to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, but maybe double check those directions first. Until next time.